The market was noisy, full of colors and strange smells. Aliens from many worlds moved through the crowd, talking, trading, laughing. The sun above was soft purple, shining over the glass roofs of the open bazaar. John, a human traveler, walked through the crowd slowly. He wore a brown jacket, dusty boots, and a small backpack. His face looked tired but alert. He had seen too much in his life: war, pain, silence. He wasn't here for fun, just supplies, maybe something to eat. And then he would leave this planet. But then it happened. A small voice, sharp and loud, cut through the noise. "Dad, I want him to be my brother." The entire market froze. Every head turned toward the sound. The noise died like someone had pressed a button. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. John stopped. He looked down. Standing a few feet away was a small alien girl. Her skin was light blue, her eyes large and glowing like soft stars. She looked no older than 6. She was dirty, barefoot, wearing torn clothes and holding a piece of dried bread in her tiny hands, but her voice was strong, full of certainty. She pointed straight at him. Her other hand was holding a taller alien's cloak, an older male, possibly her guardian or adoptive father. The man looked shocked, embarrassed. He pulled her back gently and whispered something, but the girl didn't stop staring at John. "I want him to be my brother," she said again, softer this time, but still with power. John blinked. He felt like time had stopped. Why was she looking at him? He had never seen her before. What did she mean? People began whispering around him. Did she say brother? Is that a human? Why him? Is this some kind of trick? John didn't move. He was used to danger, used to being alone, but this was different. The girl stepped forward. She dropped the bread and reached out her hand. "Please don't leave," she whispered. Her voice was trembling now. John took a small step back. His mind was racing. He didn't know this girl. He didn't know what she wanted. But something in her eyes, something deep and familiar, made his heart stop. He had seen eyes like that before, not recently. Not here, but long ago. During a mission in a burning village, there had been a child crying under the rubble, and those same glowing eyes had looked up at him. Could it be? No, that was impossible. She was just a random alien child, wasn't she? Suddenly, 2 security guards rushed in. They were tall, armored aliens with glowing staffs. One of them shouted, "Step away from the child!" John raised his hands. "I didn't touch her," he said calmly. "She screamed in public and pointed at you," the guard said. "That's enough to ask questions." The older male alien tried to explain. "She's just confused. She's been unwell." She didn't mean anything. But the girl ran forward before anyone could stop her. She stood in front of John and held his hand. Everyone gasped. Even John didn't move. He looked down at her tiny fingers gripping his. She whispered again, "Please, I remember you. From the fire." The guard's eyes widened. "Fire? What fire?" The girl looked up at John, her voice barely audible. "You saved me once, long ago." "You don't remember, but I do." John's heart skipped a beat. What was happening? The guard looked confused now, unsure what to do. A voice came from the back of the crowd, calm, smooth, and dangerous. "Let the child speak." Everyone turned to see a tall alien woman dressed in silver robes with a glowing symbol on her chest. A royal inspector, a judge from the Galactic Council. Her eyes studied the girl carefully, then looked at John. "Take them both," she told the guards. "We'll see if she's telling the truth." The girl squeezed John's hand tighter. John looked down and spoke softly. "Do you know what you just did, little one?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I gave you back," she said, "what you lost." The room was small, cold, and full of questions. John sat quietly on a metal bench, staring at the little alien girl who now sat beside him. Her name, she said, was Tali, but that name didn't appear in any registry, not on this planet or the last 5 systems he'd passed through. She was a ghost. A child with no past, but somehow she said she knew his. Tali looked calm now, feet swinging softly as if she didn't just shake the entire market a few hours ago. She had a tiny smile as she held a warm cup of synth milk. Her blue skin had scratches, her white hair was tangled, but her eyes, they glowed like moonlight, full of something ancient. John rubbed his hands together and asked gently, "Where did you come from, Tali?" She tilted her head. "You don't remember the fire, do you?" His heart skipped. What fire? Tali turned her cup in her hands. There was a place, with tall walls, and men in gray suits. They used needles and wires on children like me. Some screamed. Some didn't wake up. John froze. That sounded like a lab. A black site. Military-funded, hidden from the world. You were there, she whispered, just once. You broke a wall with a gun. You carried one boy out and then came back. But a beam fell and you couldn't see me. John's blood turned cold. He remembered that mission. Years ago, he was part of a rescue op, deep in the war zone, secret orders. They found only one survivor, a boy with glowing marks. The building was on fire. They left no one else alive. He had buried the memory. Too painful, but Tali, she shouldn't exist. You were small then, she said softly, but you had a kind heart. I cried for you after you left. John couldn't speak. His voice was locked behind a wall of guilt. Before he could answer, the door opened. An alien officer stepped in, followed by a droid with blinking lights. The officer held a data pad and spoke without emotion. We ran her DNA. She's not on any system, not in any adoption records. But what? John asked. The officer looked confused. One genetic match. Appears to connect with your family line. John stood. That's not possible. You're fully human, the officer said. But she carries something, an echo in her DNA. Almost like an imprint from human blood. A child cannot carry human DNA unless what? John cut in. The officer paused. Unless she was bonded. Or made, John stared at Tali. Made? The officer added. We also found something inside her. A tiny implant, deep in her shoulder. John's soldier instincts kicked in. Tracker? The officer nodded. Possibly. But encrypted. We can't shut it off. Tali placed her hand on John's. They'll come now. Who? He asked. She looked into his eyes, serious and scared. The ones who made me. They think I'm broken. But I'm not. I'm just awake. Suddenly the lights flickered. The droid made a strange noise. Static. The officer checked his pad. We're being scanned, he said. From orbit. John grabbed Tali. We're leaving. I can and I will. John moved fast, muscle memory taking over. He lifted Tali gently and darted through the hall, dodging guards, slipping past scanners. She gave no sound, just held onto him tightly, trusting him. Outside, the sky was darker. Ships flew overhead, but one small shuttle stood parked alone in the shadows. John ran toward it. Tali whispered, Why do you help me? He opened the hatch. Because I failed you once, and I'm not doing that again. The ship roared to life just as explosions lit up the sky behind them. Someone didn't want her to leave alive. John took the controls. Hold tight, Tali smiled. I always knew you'd come back. The ship vanished into the stars. The stars outside the shuttle window shimmered quietly as the engines hummed in the background. But inside the small ship, silence pressed heavily. John sat in the pilot seat, staring at the blinking lights on the control panel. His hands were steady, but his heart wasn't. He had flown through war zones, escaped ambushes, and survived crashes, but this felt different. Tali sat behind him, her legs crossed, a soft blanket over her shoulders. Her eyes were closed, but she wasn't sleeping. She was listening. To him. To the silence. To something deep inside. John opened the panel on his arm console and looked again at the DNA scan the officers had sent just before they escaped. Match. 47%. Human genetic marker present. That shouldn't be possible. No alien child, especially from a species like Tali's, could carry human DNA. Not naturally, and yet, there it was. A match, not exact, not full, but enough to raise questions that made John's skin crawl. He didn't have children. No siblings. No secret lovers, then how? John turned his head. Tali, he asked softly. Did anyone ever tell you where you came from? Before the lab? Tali shook her head slowly. Only dreams. What kind of dreams? She looked up. Her voice was like a whisper inside a cave. I'm in a tank, floating. There are wires in my back. Voices outside the glass. I try to scream, but no sound comes out. John's chest tightened. He had seen those tanks. In one of the darkest black sites humanity ever built. Places even the military denied existed. He remembered walking past glowing chambers, small figures drifting inside, unconscious. A test, a project, a failure, or so they were told. Tali, he said, steadying his voice. Do you remember any names? She nodded. Project Icarus. John stood up so quickly the chair slammed into the wall. Project Icarus was supposed to be gone, buried, deleted. It was a program that tried to create super soldiers using hybrid DNA, crossing species. Every child was labeled as unstable. None were supposed to survive. He leaned on the console. His breath was shallow now. They lied to us, he whispered. Tali tilted her head. I don't feel broken, John. He turned to her, eyes full of something between guilt and awe. You're not broken, kid. You're the only one who made it out. She smiled softly. Because you didn't leave me behind this time. Before he could answer, the shuttle beeped. A proximity alert. A ship was following them. Fast, John's fingers flew over the controls. We've got company. Tali climbed beside him, calm as ever. They don't want the truth out. Then they're going to hate what comes next. The pursuing ship hailed them. A voice crackled. Through. Cold. Robotic. Familiar. Return. The subject or be destroyed, John smirked. Subject? She has a name. And she's under my protection. The voice replied. You are protecting evidence, classified, dangerous. I'm protecting a child, John snapped. A scared, lonely girl who just wants a home. Then you will be terminated. John cut the comms. Yeah, that's enough. Tali suddenly placed her hand on the console. Her eyes flashed bright silver for a moment, and the screen changed. Lines of alien code appeared. What are you doing? He asked, shocked. I don't know, she said, but my body remembers. The shuttle's lights flickered. Systems rerouted. The engines surged. Suddenly they were gone, jumped into hyperspace. John stared at her. You've done this before? She looked confused. I think I was made to do more than remember. Then a new alert came, a second DNA ping hidden inside her neural net. The name attached made John go pale. Mother. Human. Status. Deceased. Name Captain Leona Voss, John whispered. No. Captain Leona Voss was more than a hero. She was his commanding officer, the woman who once saved him in battle. She disappeared during Project Icarus. Rumor said she died trying to protect the children. But now... Tali looked up at him. Is she my mother? John nodded slowly, eyes full of tears. And that makes you more human than I ever thought. Far away from the planets, where stars looked like frozen tears in the dark, John's shuttle floated silently near an old debris field, a graveyard of forgotten battles. Inside the ship, John sat at the table holding a small hologram in his shaking hand. The image blinked softly, showing a woman in a military uniform, Captain Leona Voss. Hero, commander, missing in action, and now, revealed as the biological mother of the alien child sitting across from him, Tali. She looked at the woman's face with wonder. She's beautiful, she whispered. John nodded. She was brave, strong, she saved hundreds. Maybe more, Tali blinked. And me? He looked at her gently. Maybe. Most of all, she tried to save you. But questions swirled in his mind. How could Leona, a full-blooded human, have a daughter like Tali? Suddenly the console pinged again. A new encrypted message had just arrived, one that bypassed all security. John opened it. It was from an unknown source, signed only with 3 words. She is heir. Then a set of coordinates flashed on the screen. A dead moon not listed on any map. John checked the data. There's nothing there, he muttered. Tali, however, stood up slowly. Her voice turned quiet. That's where I was born. His eyes narrowed. You remember? I don't know how, she whispered, but it's calling me. John knew better than to ignore that kind of pull. When a child with no past and strange powers speaks with such truth, you listen. He locked in the course. As the shuttle approached the moon, they saw it. Not a rock, not empty, but a structure, hidden beneath layers of asteroid dust. Black spires rose like frozen fingers, cracked and ancient, and a landing pad blinked softly as if it had waited for her all this time. They landed. The air was thin but breathable. The ground felt hollow. Tali stepped forward with no fear. John followed, gun ready. Inside, the halls lit up as she walked. Symbols glowed on the walls. strange curved writing that made John's head hurt. "What is this place?" he asked. Tally looked up. "A temple, a vault. A tomb," her voice sounded. Different now, older. Suddenly, statues lit up, figures in armor with wings and swords. Nothing like any alien John had seen. Tally stopped before a mirror at the center of the room. "I've seen this," she said. Then the mirror shimmered. It showed her face, but older. Wearing a silver crown, surrounded by bowing figures, John stepped back. "What is this?" A deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Not male, not female. Something beyond. Daughter of Voss. Last of the three-blooded. You have returned." Tally's eyes glowed silver. John gripped his weapon. "Who's there?" The voice replied, calm and ancient. "The blood of human, alien, and celestial flows through her. She is the bridge. She is the key." John was stunned. "Celestial? That's just a myth." "No," Tally said. "It's in my dreams. A city in the sky. A war between stars. A woman with fire in her hands." Then the floor cracked, not from damage, but by design. A crystal rose from below, spinning slowly. Inside was a hologram, Leona Voss herself. She spoke like a message from the grave. "If you're hearing this, it means my daughter lived. And if he's with you, then John, I trusted you with my life. Now I trust you with hers." John's throat tightened. The message continued. "They lied to you. Project Icarus was never about weapons. It was about legacy. My daughter was chosen by the stars. Not built in a lab. Born in one." John stepped forward. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you would have protected her. And they would have killed you both." Tally touched the crystal. It glowed warmly. John looked at her with awe. "You're not just part human." Tally nodded. "I'm part many. I belong to more than one world." Suddenly, sirens lit up on the ship's comms. Enemy ships were approaching. They found them. John turned to run, but Tally didn't move. She placed her palm on the temple wall, and the whole building started to change. Parts rose. Shields activated. It was no longer a ruin, it was a fortress. John watched, stunned, as Tally's body floated slightly. The symbols wrapped around her arms like glowing vines. Then the voice returned. "The bloodline is awake. The royal heir has returned." Tally opened her eyes. "I know who I am now." The stars above the moon glowed peacefully, but war was coming. From high orbit, enemy ships closed in, black, silent, and sharp like daggers in the night sky. They weren't broadcasting any signals. That meant only one thing: kill order. Inside the ancient temple, John watched the ceiling shimmer and turn transparent. Through the dome, he could see 3 ships surrounding the moon. They had found Tally, and they weren't here to talk. He turned to her. "We need to leave now." But Tally stood still, arms stretched out, her feet floating inches above the temple floor. Glowing marks had wrapped around her hands like fire made of light. The walls answered her, pulsing with energy. She opened her eyes slowly. "They want to erase me." "I won't let them," John said, grabbing his gear. "But we can't fight them alone." "You won't have to," said a voice from behind. John spun around. Standing in the archway was Lyra, a tall alien with red skin, armor of gold and green, and eyes like burning coals. She was a rebel from the outer system, someone John had once trusted. Once. "What are you doing here?" John asked, narrowing his eyes. Lyra smiled faintly. "Following the same signal you did. I tracked the DNA echo. I knew it had to be her." John raised his blaster. "And now what? You turn her in?" "No," she said, stepping forward slowly. "I came to serve her." Tally looked at Lyra carefully. "You're not afraid?" "I've been waiting for you my whole life," Lyra said, bowing one knee. "My people called you the Starborn." John didn't lower his weapon. "You switch sides too often, Lyra," she smiled. "And yet I'm still alive." Suddenly the ground shook. A blast hit the outer wall of the temple. The shield flickered. "They're here," John muttered. Tally turned to the crystal altar. "The temple won't hold them back forever." John grabbed her hand. "Then we get out of here." As they ran back to the shuttle, Lyra joined them, moving like a shadow with a sword on her back. Another blast echoed behind them. Rubble fell. Dust filled the air. Inside the shuttle, systems were cold. John jumped into the pilot seat and powered everything up. "Engines hot in 30 seconds, the ship's AI reported. They didn't have 30 seconds. Tally sat in the co-pilot seat. Her small hands gripped the control panel. I can help. The ship's console glowed under her touch. Symbols rushed across the screens. Systems unlocked. Engines roared. Ready now, the AI said, shocked. John smirked. Remind me never to doubt you again. Outside, enemy ships fired, but the shuttle launched just in time, rising fast, bursting through clouds of smoke and flame. Inside, the force pushed them against their seats. We're not clear yet, Lyra warned. 3 ships chased them, fast and armed. Evasive pattern Delta. John shouted. The shuttle twisted and spun. Blasters flew past, missing by inches. Tali closed her eyes again. I know a way. She reached for the nav system. Coordinates appeared, ancient ones. A jump point? John asked. That leads to a dead system. No, Tali whispered. It leads to my people. John didn't question it. He punched the coordinates. The ship spun once, twice, and vanished into hyperspace just as a missile exploded behind them. Silence returned. Stars turned to lines. Time bent. Inside the ship, John turned to Lyra. Why are you really here? She sighed. I didn't come for her bloodline. I came because I saw what the galaxy is turning into. Governments lie. Empires fall, but she brings something else. Tali looked at her. Hope? Lyra nodded. But just as the silence settled again, an alert beeped, internal breach detected. What now? John shouted, rushing to the rear of the ship. The cargo hold lights were flashing. A panel had been opened, and there, crawling out of a hidden compartment, was a cloaked figure. John raised his gun. Don't move! The figure removed its hood. It was a boy, maybe 12, blue-skinned like Tali, eyes just as bright. Tali gasped. You! The boy looked at her, confused and scared. I followed you. They were going to kill me. I heard your name. I hid in your ship. John looked between them. Who is he? He asked. Tali stepped closer. He was in the lab, too. I remember him. The boy spoke quietly. They called me Unit 9, but I have a real name, I think it's Ravik. John lowered his weapon slowly. How many more of you are out there? The boy's eyes filled with tears. Too many, he said. And they're all still locked in the dark. The stars outside the ship were no longer lines. They were silent again, still and endless. Inside, the small shuttle felt full. John sat at the edge of the cockpit, arms crossed, mind racing. Across from him sat Ravik, the boy who had crawled out of the hidden compartment. Next to him, Tali sat quietly, watching him with wide, confused eyes. She hadn't said a word since he arrived. Neither had he. They just stared at each other. John finally broke the silence. You knew each other? Ravik nodded slowly. I remember her voice. In the dark? She used to sing. Tali looked surprised. I did. Ravik's voice cracked. You held my hand when they put wires in us. You told me we were going to fly away one day. Like birds. John's throat tightened. Tali reached for his hand. You believed me? I had nothing else to believe in, Ravik whispered. Lyra, leaning against the door, looked down. They made children like machines. Gave them numbers. Trained them to fight, but they didn't know. John looked up. Didn't know what? They were making something they couldn't control, she replied. Something more human than weapon. The ship's console beeped softly. A small alert, a neural spike from the ship's memory core. Tali's eyes flashed. It's happening again. John checked the screen. A memory trigger? What does that mean? Before anyone could answer, the lights dimmed and the ship's floor began to hum. The walls rippled. Then, without warning, Tali and Ravik collapsed to their knees. Their bodies trembled. Their eyes rolled back. And then, they spoke in perfect sync. Facility 9 fire room. Control override. Memory release. Unit pairs confirmed. John jumped up. What's happening to them? Lyra knelt beside Tali. Their minds are unlocking. Someone sealed their memories and now it's breaking. Suddenly the ship's AI came alive. Warning. Internal neural link forming. Foreign memory data incoming. Then, a blast of light filled the cockpit and John saw it. Not a dream. Not a video. A memory. He was inside it. The lab was cold. Metallic. Children floated in green tanks hooked to machines. And there, near the center, stood Leona Voss. She was shouting, "Stop the test! You're going too far!" A man in a suit turned to her. "The hybrid bond has stabilized. We must continue. Leona drew her weapon. You don't use children for war. Then he said it. She's not just a child. She's the bridge. And he pointed at another tank, is her anchor. The tanks were marked. T3, Talia, Voss R9. Ravik John felt like his chest would break. He wasn't watching a video. He was reliving history. He saw himself, young, scared, standing beside Leona, holding a data tablet. He had been there. He had helped. He had approved the extraction orders. He had signed the mission. The light faded. John fell to the floor, gasping for air. Tali looked at him. You were there. Ravik's voice was soft. You saw us. You turned around. You walked away. John shook his head. I didn't know. I didn't understand what they were doing. Tali didn't move. You left us. Silence filled the room like water in a sinking ship. Then Tali stood. Her eyes glowed again, but not with anger, with clarity. Now I remember it all. My name, my mother. The songs, the cage. The fire, John whispered. Tali, I didn't mean. She walked over and hugged him. Not tight, not long, just enough. I forgive you, she whispered. John froze. I forgive you, Ravik echoed. Then the ship's AI chimed again. Coordinates locked. Target Echo Station. John frowned. What's Echo Station? Tali looked at him with a new kind of strength. It's where the others are, Ravik nodded. Our brothers and sisters, still in sleep, still waiting. John looked at both of them. He didn't see weapons. He didn't see lab experiments. He saw kids, scared, brave, changed forever. And now, he saw his mission clearly. I'm with you, he said. Lyra placed her hand on her sword. So am I. Tali reached for the stars on the screen. Then we waked them. The stars above Echo Station looked cold, silent, as if they were holding their breath. Below them floated a black structure, massive and hidden. Built deep into an asteroid, Echo Station wasn't on any map. No signals, no warnings. It was the last forgotten tomb of Project Icarus. Inside it, hundreds of children slept in tanks. Not dead, not alive, just waiting for someone to come back for them. And finally, they had. John stood at the front of the shuttle as it hovered near the docking bay. His hand rested on the control lever, but his mind raced. Behind him stood Tali, glowing softly, and Ravik, now wearing a simple pilot vest too big for his small frame. Lyra checked her weapon one last time. They were ready. But John knew the truth. This mission could end in fire. He looked back at Tali. Are you sure you want to go in first? She nodded. They'll feel me. And if it's a trap? He asked. Tali stepped forward. Then let it come. I'm not hiding anymore. John smiled slightly. That's my girl. They entered the station. It was darker than space itself. The walls were alive. Cables hanging like vines, soft pulsing lights echoing through the halls like heartbeat drums. Tali walked with purpose. Her feet never made a sound. As they moved deeper, the silence was broken by whispers, mechanical, wrong, old, unauthorized access. Subject T3, prepare containment. John raised his blaster. Here we go. Suddenly, metal doors slammed shut behind them. Gas sprayed from the walls. It's a lockdown, Lyra shouted. From the floor, shapes rose. Machines with human faces, long-forgotten prototypes of failure. Security bots from the Icarus days, they moved fast. John fired. Lyra slashed. Ravik jumped behind a wall, typing something on a cracked console. And Tali. She raised both hands, her voice changed, deeper, glowing with power. I am not your subject. I am your end. The machines stopped. Then they collapsed. One by one. John blinked. What did you just do? Tali turned slowly. They remember my blood. My mother gave me more than life. She gave me command. A door slid open in front of them, leading to the sleeping chamber. Rows of glass tanks stretched into the darkness. Small bodies floated inside, boys and girls, all with the same glowing eyes. Ravik stepped forward, tears in his eyes. My brothers, my sisters. Tali walked to the nearest tank and placed her palm on the glass. The gay. Lights turned gold. One child opened their eyes, then another, then 10, then 50, then all of them. It was like watching dawn rise after endless night, but peace didn't last. From the ceiling, a large screen powered on. A face appeared. Old, scarred, cold as stone. It was Director Halloran, the one who created Project Icarus. His voice echoed. You think this is a rescue? It's a riot. These children were made for war. John stepped forward. They were made, but they grew. They chose. Halloran smiled. And you chose to disobey. Again, that girl is a key. Do you know what she unlocks? I don't care. You should, Halloran hissed. Because she'll burn the galaxy down. Suddenly the station shook. Self-destruct sequence. 10 minutes, the AI warned. Evacuate immediately. John turned to Tally. We have to go. She didn't move. I'm staying, she said. To shut it down? No, John said, grabbing her shoulders. You don't die here. Not today. But the others, I'll take care of them, he said. That's my oath. Tally looked into his eyes. He wasn't her father. Not her creator, but he was something stronger. Her brother, by choice, by soul. She nodded. Then I give you command, she whispered. Her hand touched his chest. A flash of light passed from her to him. Suddenly, the control panels obeyed him. The doors opened. Escape pods powered up. John turned to the children. You follow me now. You hear me? Small heads nodded, some cried. Some smiled. John stood tall. Let's go. The pods launched one by one. John stayed till the last, guiding the frightened children into the light. Tali, Lyra, and Ravik boarded the final shuttle with him. The station exploded behind them, but not into fire. Into stardust. Tali had changed the core at the last second, from destruction to rebirth. Days later, a message was sent to every system, from a hidden base, from a child, from a princess of blood and stars. We are not weapons. We are not broken. We are children, and we are home. John stood behind her, silent and proud. She looked up at him. You're not just my brother now, she said. You're theirs too. He smiled, eyes soft. I'll protect them all, and with that, human and hybrid, warrior and orphan, a family was born.